What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. Hope you guys are doing great tonight. Hope everybody is having a fantastic Monday. Hope you guys are ready for another live 2025 fantasy football draft. Hopping into an Underdog fantasy football draft tonight. Gonna give it a couple minutes here to see if any of you guys do want to hop in and join the draft tonight. Gonna be hopping into a best ball mania. So it is a $25 buy-in for tonight's draft on Underdog. The last stream or two, we entered a lot of the cheaper tournaments, but there are no cheap tournaments open at the moment. So it's just, a sign that we need to enter a best ball mania. So gonna roll with probably just one draft tonight as well. We'll see if I end up going into two. But nonetheless, gonna hang out for a bit, talk some fantasy football, and answer any of your guys' fantasy football questions that you do have. So make sure you guys get in the live chat any NFL topics, fantasy football topics that you guys want to go over, team reviews, upcoming questions from different draft spots, rankings, any of that good stuff. Let me know. And like always, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk some fantasy football tonight. So I'll give it a moment or two here, see if anybody wants to hop in, and then I will hop into tonight's draft in just a couple minutes here. So we do have some continued NFL news to go over. We're in that time of year where we have training camp going on. So there's always some sort of topic to go over. And we'll go over everything that I've got in just a moment here as well to kind of kick off the stream. And we'll get rocking and rolling into the draft in just a couple minutes. Just want to give you guys a chance because I might end up just doing one draft tonight. And that'll give you guys a chance to hop in here if you do want to. So the Titans have waived wide receiver Treylon Burks, who did just suffer that broken collarbone. I mean, I know this isn't like a huge hit to fantasy football. There are some implications here, but you do feel awful for Treylon Burks. Just can't catch a break. Career is not panned out as they had hoped so. Basically, trying to replace AJ Brown for that trade to the Eagles. But I mean, anything that this is a positive thing fantasy wise for Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, Calvin Ridley, any of those Titans players that you guys are currently targeting in fantasy football drafts. J-Dubs, we'll plan on entering at 8:35 p.m. Eastern time. I'll count down. So about 2 minutes from now, we'll enter and we'll roll with that way. That gives everybody a couple minutes, about 5 minutes to get into the stream if they do want to draft tonight. But yeah, I'll count down at 8:35 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, I don't think anyone's really like overly drafting Alec Manor or Tyler Lockett or Chicken Conquo, but I mean, those names are going in best ball drafts, for example. So, I don't think that this negatively impacts Cam Ward. He was kind of talking up Treylon Burks, but I don't think that this is a huge overall implication for fantasy football. But as always, it's one less target potential in that offense. So hopefully he lands on a different team, practice squad at worst, or what have you. The Broncos have agreed to terms on a 4-year, $92 million contract extension for wide receiver Courtland Sutton. This is something that I always talk about. Courtland Sutton is a player that I've been really high on throughout the course of the offseason. And I love him at his overall ADP right now in basically all formats. And, when you see a player get this type of extension, right, it just kind of solidifies their role into that respective offense. So already felt really good about this Broncos passing attack going into the year. I've already targeted Courtland Sutton quite a bit, but for me, this is good news if you've been high on Courtland Sutton throughout the course of the off season. So not a lot to really break down there. Like I said, I've talked a lot about Courtland Sutton throughout the off season and everything. But yeah, I do think that this is a positive thing for Courtland Sutton specifically. But even if he didn't get the extension, I would still like the Broncos passing attack, Bo Nix in general, right? But definitely a good sign for Courtland Sutton owners. All right, 8:35 p.m. Eastern time. We are entering in 3, 2, 1, enter. One spot. Hopefully you got in with me, J-Dubs. That was a quick fill. All right, let's see. Yep, J-Dubs is in here. Let's go. If any of you other guys are in here and I don't notice your username, let me know. Let's go. Let's go. All right, let's see. Let me get this pulled up. Second screen. All right, we're good to go. Rodney, last year I got killed because I didn't have any running backs in my final 4 weeks. Thinking about first 4 draft, taking running backs a bad idea. You mean your first 4 draft picks? I wouldn't go that far. I mean, and sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Like, if you were to look back on your draft last year, you probably could have just drafted players that didn't end up getting hurt. I mean, it's just one of those things that happens sometimes. You can't avoid injury, right? Um, and sometimes it's about making the right waiver moves as well. Think about a guy like Tajay Spears. He was a league winner last year in terms of his fantasy output the last 3 games of the season, right? So, I mean, excuse me. In terms of going like heavy RB, um, I mean, I do think that a strategy where you take 2 to 3 running backs is fine, but in a redraft format, I probably wouldn't go outside of that. And generally, I would still like a double hero RB approach. I think I'm going to start tonight with Jahmyr Gibbs. I want to get me a Gibbs share. Everybody's on the board is fine right there, though. But yeah, I think generally speaking, in redraft, I wouldn't go past a double hero RB approach. You can, and I think that there's really good value at the running back position in the second and third round this year, and obviously in the first round as well. But yeah, I wouldn't chalk it up to what happened last year necessarily. It's really hard to year to year. Don't look at exactly what happened in your fantasy league the season before because fantasy football as well as the NFL is so sporadic on a yearly basis that a lot of times we want to try and look forward, not look backward. As much as like previous season statistics are going to be very important, we're trying to project forward, right? Not keep an eye on what happened last year. And a lot of fantasy football, at the end of the day, I always tell you guys, I mean, it really comes down at the end of the day to luck and coincidence uh, when all things are said and done, no matter how much preparation you do. So I don't know if I would necessarily do 4 running backs. Like the most drastic approach I would take is 3 because you just have to think like, I mean, the value at wide receiver is going to go down pretty dramatically. And I do think that there's more wide receiver depth, generally speaking, year to year, and definitely this year, especially with the running back position being kind of heightened overall, um, just due to the success of the running back position last year. There's a little bit more depth at the position, wide receiver position, as drafts go on. So, you know, I think that would be my answer for you. Now, like in a best ball tournament, right? Like an underdog draft, like you can switch up your exposure. You can do some drafts where you do 4 running backs in a row, but redraft, I don't think I would necessarily go there. All right, J-Dubs ends up with CMC again. Let's go. I am going to try and go double hero RB. I've been inspired by that chat. So let's go Gibbs and Bucky. Gibbs JT, Gibbs Jacobs. However you want to look at it, fine here. I don't know how to say it. Lowe's emo? I don't know how to say that one. I'm sorry. New to channel. Nice to meet you as well. Glad to have you in the draft at the 112. Amon-Ra and B-Tom is a great start. Fantastic start, regardless of format. And I've talked a lot about this. If you can land Brian Thomas Jr. at the beginning of the second round and you have that, end of the first round turn, and you're able to land another elite wide receiver, Neighbors, Puka, Nico, Amon-Ra, any of those guys, and then get Brian Thomas Jr. That is like my dream scenario. Generally speaking, going into the year. Now, everybody in that range, whether you're looking at running back or wide receiver, end of the first round, then everybody in the second, B. Tom, Derrick Henry, A. Chain, AJ Brown, Genty, London, Lad McConkey. Love that tier. In redraft, you're going to see C-Mac a little bit closer to that tier compared to a best ball draft. But yeah, fantastic start for you. Welcome to the channel. And man, even just the fact that Amon-Ra fell to the 112, I do feel like I'm seeing Amon-Ra fall a little bit more. And I don't really, I mean, he's been the wide receiver 3 2 years in a row. So I suppose that some regression is due. Like, would it surprise me? No, but like, what is the actual regression we're looking at? Would be my question. Like, he's going to regress to the wide receiver 5, 6, 7. Like, he's still worth the draft capital where he's going in drafts right now, undoubtedly in my mind. All right, I do want to start switching up exposure a little bit, so I'm going to go Josh Allen here. I like the way I generally draft. I don't have a lot of exposure to those elite quarterbacks, so we're gonna go double hero running back with an early round quarterback. So now we really don't need to worry about the quarterback position for quite some time in this draft. We'll go with like 2 late round guys. Just avoid a week 7 bye. And, Josh Allen does have, a number of wide receivers as well as Dalton Kincaid, the tight end position, that are good late round targets. So that'll help this build as well. We're not going to go running back for a couple rounds here. And we're going to knock out probably 4 wide receivers in a row. Probably won't be looking to draft a running back again till like, pick 92. I mean, it's not going to be pretty, but it's called hero or double hero running back for a reason. Maybe we'll go. We'll just kind of see where the draft takes us, but definitely going to knock out a couple wide receivers here. I'll basically be going late round tight end as well with this build. You never know. Things can change. All right. So Lasmo, is that right? I'm reading it as LOL's emo. Gets the Terry and Jaden Daniels stack. Very nice. J-Dubs, C-Mac, Ladd, Marvin Harrison, all good starts here. And James Cook as your RB1. I like it. All right, so I picks 44 and 53. Let's go with Xavier Worthy. Give us an upside swing at wide receiver. Gonna try and go for some stability with the next pick. Either Cortland Sutton or Devonta Smith. Don't really have any qualms walking away with either of those players here. Give us that floor where the upside kind of comes from. Xavier Worthy. I also like Jameson Williams in this range. I will say, I don't know if Sutton or Smith will last to this next pick. So might end up with a guy like Zay Flowers, Calvin Ridley. We'll see what happens. There goes Jalen Hurts. There goes I mean, that's a really common, like just looking at Jalen Hurts overall ADP and where Devonta Smith's overall ADP is, we're seeing that stack happen a lot. Hurts, then just turn around and get Devonta Smith because he's right there. There's also a good just the way this draft's working out. I mean, we got Kenneth Walker, Chuba Hubbard, Alvin Kamara all sitting here at the running back position, but not exactly what we want to do in terms of the draft strategy. So I'll go Zay Flowers. I mean, I like Kenneth Walker here exponentially, but trying to stick true to the strategy here. So it's either Zay Flowers or Calvin Ridley. I have a lot more exposure to Calvin Ridley, so I'll take Zay Flowers here. Once again, trying to be conscious of overall exposure, switch up some of the player names here a bit. But yeah, I mean, Kenneth Walker is a tough pass for me there at pick 53, but trying to go double hero RB with an early quarterback. And yeah, I mean, I do really like Kenneth Walker in this range. But it's good for the exposure. Switch things up here, get some different entries going, all that good stuff. So see what happens. All right. So we picked 68, 77, 92. So yeah, probably going back-to-back wide receivers with these 2 picks. Allen Gibbs, Bucky, Xavier Worthy, and Zay Flowers. So J-Dubs lands Calvin Ridley. Good value there for sure. I do like Cook at the 4-6 a lot as well. And Trayvon Henderson off the board. as well as, we'll see, to Lasmo. I'm going to call you like 6 different usernames tonight. But yeah, I do like Cortland Sutton's value there at the 5-3 a lot. So it goes Travis Hunter. Nice start. Would imagine maybe Trevor Lawrence shares in your future with this team, but we'll find out. There goes Jared Judy. It's a stretch where there's just a lot of different wide receivers available. Could really take any kind of direction here, but see how things kind of shape out here. There goes DeAndre Swift. You guys know if I do go double hero running back, Swift is the name in terms of an RB3 that I really like to target overall. But we're going to kind of knock back the running back position quite a bit here. Really just try to roll with Gibbs and Bucky throughout the season. Man, there goes Jordan Addison. That is my top target right here. But I'm also drafting a lot of Jordan Addison. I need to check my actual exposure tonight in a second. All right, so, I mean, I'll go Jacoby Myers. I wouldn't mind getting a Debo share here. Say what you want. And then this next pick's going to be tough. I have 2 players I really like here. Either Stephon Diggs or I get Khalil Shakir to try and stack with Josh Allen, which probably makes the most sense. But Khalil Shakir loses a little bit of value in this format for me. There goes Diggs anyways. So I probably will go Shakir just to get the stack. But yeah, it's a half PPR format, so he loses a little bit of value to me overall. And I could hold off here and like maybe go Keon Coleman a little bit later in the draft. I'm higher on Shakir. Maybe could hold off and go Josh Palmer. Well, what is Josh? I mean, Josh Palmer's ADP is very buried. I might end up doing that. It just gives us a little bit of exposure to a different team. Could go running back here with that decision made, but I mean, we're still pretty weak at wide receiver. It goes Emeka Egbuka at pick 75. All right, so Pearsall, Godwin. Let's go Godwin to get the exposure to, or not the exposure, but the correlation to Bucky Irving. But I am drafting a lot of Chris Godwin. I feel like I'm coming out of every draft with either Chris Godwin or Jordan Addison, which like I don't hate, but like my exposure to those 2 players has to be really high. Yeah, Jordan Addison, I have at 29.4% drafted, as is Chris Godwin. So Marvin Mims, still my most drafted receiver. Keenan Allen, Jordan Addison, Calvin Austin, Chris Godwin, Dontavion Wicks, Jamar Chase, Romeo Dobbs, JSN. So at least Jamar Chase had 23.5%. But, once again, I always talk about exposure. In terms of the highest exposure you have to players, they're always going to be later round guys that you're just kind of consistently taking on a regular basis. All right, next 2 picks. It is time to go back to the running back position for a moment here. There's not really any wide receiver that's going to fall here that I would be like absolutely crazy about. So we've got picks 92 and 101. 4 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a quarterback. I might go back-to-back running backs with these next 2 picks. I also wouldn't mind taking a tight end off the board here. May end up doing that. But like I'm not really drafting a lot of TJ Hawkinson or Travis Kelce. So then I have picks 116, 125. Probably just going to go tight end in that area. It's going to be an interesting draft when all things are said and done. I'm going to kind of reach against ADP. I just still like Tyrone Tracy in terms of what running backs are available. I'm going to target J.K. Dobbins with that next pick. Get 2 running backs out of the way. We need some depth here for sure. All right, so J-Dub still hammering out wide receivers. Rome Odunze, Ricky Pearsall, Matthew Golden. Nice little squad. Lasmo, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, both very good values there. Get that kind of correlation with the JD5 Terry stack. Looking good over there. And I'm not hating this build tonight. A little bit different, but I like it. All right, 8th round wrapping up here. So once again, these next two picks, pick 101. Going to end up going Dobbins. I mean, if Michael Pittman falls here, I'll take Michael Pittman. I don't think he's going to. This is kind of that weird area in the draft where ADP starts to, maybe for a round or two, go out the window. Also, I don't know. I don't mind going tight end here. If I go tight end, be Evan Ingram or Mark Andrews, then probably Kelsey. There goes Kelsey out the board, so not Kelsey. If I hold off at running back, I'm going to pick 116 and 125. It's a pretty drastic drop off for me at the position. It's not awful. I do like Pittman in this range. So if he's there, I think Pittman is worth selecting. I was about to say, I feel like he's going to go right at this selection, though. So yeah, it's probably still Dobbins here. But let's go tight end because we have Zay Flowers, so I can get that correlation. Mark Andrews, Flowers. I mean, Dobbins won't last till this next pick. I mean, that'd be 11 spots against ADP. But Zach Charbonnet could be there. Tajay Spears could certainly be there. And then come back around. We'll take some other shots at running back. So not the worst. All right, J-Dubs gets the Purdy Pearsall stack and correlation to C-Mac. I like it. Man, I feel like Sniper's been getting a lot of really good values throughout this draft, but only has one running back, which is okay. You can build a team like that if you truly want to. All right, picks 116, 125 coming up here. Just keep an eye. A couple players here. I will need to start thinking about going back to the wide receiver position at some point. Xavier Worthy, Zay Flowers, Jacoby Myers, Chris Godwin. I mean, we're missing some sort of element here. Not sure what it is, but we're missing something for sure. But we have that huge upside at quarterback, 2 stud running backs in front of everything, and a pretty good, well-rounded roster at the end of the day. I don't know. I might go back-to-back wide receivers here. Only thing is, I kind of want to get Dalton Kincaid on this team. I feel like anytime I try to stack tight ends, I mean, I also feel like Josh Allen is the one quarterback you really don't need to stack tight ends with, or any position with it for that matter. So 2 tough picks right here. Probably going to end up going Charbonnet. I feel like I'm drafting a lot of Charbonnet. He's just my favorite, handcuff type running back. But I guess not. Looking at my exposure, he's at 11.8%. I guess I did kind of start drafting him more heavily past 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. But Rashad White, J.K. Dobbins, Austin Eckler, Rico Dowdle, Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, Bijan Robinson, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs, James Cook, Alvin Kamara, Bucky Irving, my most drafted running back. So not too bad there in terms of the exposure. But I feel like Charbonnet is going to start ramping up, and I think that Najee Harris number definitely going to go down a bit. We'll say the nice thing at this point in the draft is I'm not worried about the quarterback position whatsoever. I did pass on Rashad Bateman there. Usually Bateman is player I like in this range, but I already have Andrews and Flowers. That's enough exposure to that offense for me. Hold off. Weekly winners, maybe I'd do that, but we are not in a weekly winners tournament. All right, I will say, if I want Kincaid, like I might have to reach for him here, but I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to draft Kincaid. If he falls to 140, I'll take him. Zenix, where's Peter? Pete will be back, or will be on tomorrow night. He usually doesn't hop on the Underdog streams, but he'll be on tomorrow for our subscriber mock draft on Sleeper. All right, I'm going to go Christian Kirk here. Like that value. Team not looking too bad. J-Dubs gets Caleb Williams for the Roma Dunze stack. Losmo gets Dobbins at a really good value, and I like the Tyler Warren pick. Bayshall tune off the board here to J-Dubs. We are sitting with Allen, Gibbs, Bucky, Tracy, Charbonnet, Xavier Worthy, Zay Flowers, Myers, Godwin, Kirk, and Mark Andrews. Not a bad little build here. Switching things up a little bit tonight. If I had the number one pick overall, who do I draft? I mean, for me, really, regardless of format, of potential strategy, whatever it is, it's Jamar Chase. Whether it's half PPR or full PPR, it's the safest pick overall. And I just don't think in any format whatsoever, any world whatsoever, are you in any way whatsoever going to be disappointed if you draft Jamar Chase this year. And the numbers last year were insane. The offense not changing this year, same offensive coordinator, same head coach, same quarterback, offensive line, probably still going to put them in situations where they need to throw. The defense is also probably going to put them in situations where they need to throw. The defense is really not improved on paper. It's just got to be Jamar Chase. I think, like, if you want to go Bijan or Barkley and start with a running back, if it's really feels like it's exponential to the strategy that you want to roll with, then I think that argument is there. But I think Chase is in a tier of his own in terms of overall rankings going into this year, regardless of format. I mean, if we're looking at receivers, it's still, JJ, Lamb, Puka, Neighbors, very close. But yeah, and then look at running backs, even with, Bijan, Barkley, Gibbs, sure, close. And would I be surprised if any of those guys I just listed end up with more fantasy points this year than Chase? No, because I think they're all going to have fantastic seasons, but just the safest overall pick, who still gives you the safest floor and the highest upside, is undoubtedly Jamar Chase. So I think you got to go Chase for sure. All right, J-Dub snipes me, which is okay. It's a good pick for you. I mean, Kincaid was kind of falling. There's 2 spots against ADP, but we saw a couple other tight ends go there. So I want to draft CJ Stroud. Get the stack, quote unquote, with Christian Kirk. And that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, no problem at all. Any other fancy questions any of you guys have, please let me know. No, you're good, J-Dubs. I never am upset. And honestly, you having 0 tight ends is a good pick for you for sure. But yeah, I also, like I said, was a little bit against ADP to try and let Kincaid fall. So I'm not too disappointed. Let me end up this little Houston stack. Could be fun. So it is all good. I'd rather have an honest draft where I have to pivot a little bit than have you avoiding a player if you truly feel like that player is best for your roster. Plus, I feel like I've drafted a lot of Kincaid. Yeah, he's my 3rd most drafted tight end. Cade Otton. I really don't feel like I've taken that much Cade Otton, but him and Evan Ingram are at the top at 35.3% drafted. Then Kincaid, Noah Gray, Mark Andrews in the next tier, 17.6 for all those guys. Then I have a ton of tight ends at 11.8%. But yeah, I mean, Noah Gray was my dart throw tight end and Frankenstein tight end builds kind of earlier in the offseason. That doesn't surprise me. And I mean, that's a player you can take in the 18th round every time. So, all right. Oh, what I'm going to do this next pick. I'm going to go Josh Palmer. Usually the pick here is Rashad White, but Najee Harris is really going against ADP right now. But yeah, I'll take Josh Palmer to get some sort of quote unquote Buffalo stack here since I Josh Allen. Plus, I have Bucky Irving, so I'm a little bit less inclined to take Rashad White if I have Bucky, which for some people doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's just to get less exposure to the same team. But it would, of course, solidify the entire Tampa backfield, but also a little weaker at wide receiver and want to get some sort of Josh Allen stack solidified here. So Allen, Palmer, Stroud, Kirk. Interesting stacks tonight, to say the least. All right, so J-Dubs gets Tootin, Kincaid, and Rashad White, last 3 picks. Lasmo did get the T-Law stack. Very nice, being that you have Hunter and B-Top. Goddard, Demario Douglas. I like the pick right there for sure. And then Tank Bigsby, good correlation for you having those Jacksonville players as well. All right, not entirely sure I'm going to do these next couple picks. Figure it out. But looking at 2 quarterbacks, I'm fine with Josh Allen and CJ Stroud. I don't really feel like I need to draft another quarterback unless there's a crazy fall in this draft. Gibbs, Bucky, Tracy, Charbonnet. Probably going to be focusing on running back depth. Xavier Worthy, Zay Flowers, Myers, Godwin, Kirk, Palmer. So I am at least sitting at 6 wide receivers. And then Mark Andrews at tight end. So see if we can kind of shore up. I mean, I'm going to be taking 2 dart throws at tight end as is, but just want to make sure I don't push that too much as we're getting a little bit closer to the end of this draft. But don't feel like I'm in an awful spot. J-Dubs gets Jalen Wright, another handcuff running back. Man, I would have definitely taken Najee. At this point in the draft, like I'll take Najee all day long if he's there. I mean, it's like almost 60 spots against ADP. But I'll take Nick Chubb. We already have 2 Texans players, so give me the correlation here. Maybe it works a little bit better. Anyways, for my RB5, I mean, we're kind of taking dart throws at running back after taking those 2 stud running backs early anyways. So I got no problem with that pick. Next pick, I'm probably just going best available wide receiver. I mean, running backs are we're in like dangerous territory as is. So top 3 quarterbacks. Allen, Lamar, Hurts would be my answer. Jaden Daniels 4, Burrow 5. And you can really like the Lamar, JD 5, Hurts. Like you can really alternate however you feel. That's probably I am a Washington fan, so I'm expecting some potential regression out of JD5. Nothing crazy. Like if you have JD5 as your QB1 next year, I don't even think that's that crazy. But I think Hurts is just so vastly, like for no reason, underrated in a number of different ways. And like you look at Hurts over the past 3 seasons, right? QB8, QB2, QB3, QB9. So I just think the floor is safer, but the upside probably lies with JD5. But still, Allen, Lamar, Hurts, JD5, Burrow for me. Then probably Baker, Bo Nix, Mahomes. And once again, that's a tier you can really alternate. And things are pretty, we can have a very large conversation about who comes after that. Not interested in Najee, but I understand. Yeah, I mean, I've been, fading him and I have a high exposure to him because I did like him earlier in the offseason before his eye got blown off or whatever. So like I'm in a position right now where I am trying to fade him quite a bit, especially with my exposure at 23.5%. He's already liked him before as a late round pick. But yeah, I mean, that is way against ADP and 163. But like I said, for this build, Chubb probably makes more sense anyways. Yeah, Jalen McMillan was the other wide receiver I had queued up. But once again, to switch up exposure, went Romeo Dobbs. Then we got Jalen Noel off the board. And Brashard Smith, nice. Took a lot of Najee pre-draft, yeah, for sure. Hampton pick was a slap to the face. All right, how many picks do we have? 3. Nice. Nice. There goes A-Rich. Is he stacked? Yeah, Josh Downs. I'm telling you, I mean, you get Downs in the 8th. Pittman fell to the 9-3 tonight. He's kind of get. I mean, I know A-Rich is rising in ADP, but Alec Pierce is here in round 16. I'm gonna go Rico Dowdle. I feel like I need the running back help, and he's a running back who I think will have standalone value, but is also a very strong handcuff. So we'll take him off the board. So looking at 2 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 7 wide receivers, but a lot of pressure on Mark Andrews in this build, which I don't love, but it is what it is. I mean, I do like Andrews at his ADP a lot, but see how it shakes out here. All right. About 2 rounds left, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. I'm still taking Keenan Allen. I just feel like his ADP is going to shift if he lands with the Niners or Washington or I mean, honestly, I feel like if he lands with any team, his ADP is going to shift. But I have 35.3% exposure to Keenan Allen. It's pretty high, but like once again, if I'm drafting a player in the 17th, 18th, even 16th round on a consistent basis, it just doesn't bother me if their exposure is super high. So yeah, I'll probably just go. I have to go best available tight end to wrap this draft up. Only have 1 tight end on this team, but yeah, double hero RB approach with an early round quarterback. Josh Allen stacked with just Josh Palmer. We opted to go with a later round receiver for that stack. CJ Stroud with the correlation to Nick Chubb and a stack to Christian Kirk. So Allen and Stroud. Early running backs were Gibbs and Bucky Irving. Could have gone Gibbs and JT. Could have gone Gibbs and Josh Jacobs as well, correct? Yeah. Or Kyron or Chase Brown. Jacobs actually fell to the 3-4 in this draft. But yeah, then we had to hold off the running back for a while. Tyrone Tracy, Charbonnet, Nick Chubb, Rico Dowdle behind those 2. So, I mean, really just hoping throughout the course of this season that Gibbs and Bucky are healthy starting every single week. Then these 4 guys can just get us enough there. And, I mean, we have some pretty good value there. Okay, wide receivers are a little bit weaker on this build, but they'll work. Xavier Worthy, Zay Flowers, Jacoby Myers, Chris Godwin, Christian Kirk, Josh Palmer, Romeo Dobbs, and Keenan Allen. And like I said, a lot of pressure on Mark Andrews. I was hoping for Dalton Schultz. I didn't expect him to last. Probably was going to have to take him at the 197 if I really wanted him. So it's a good pick for Lasmo. So yeah, I'm not gonna love this second tight end. I can already tell you guys. It's probably Pat Fryermuth. Like I still think he's gonna have some sort of role in that offense. Like I could go Theo Johnson. I could. Like look at the tight ends right now. They are not good. Looking at who's available, I could go Dawson Knox, but he also is the same bye week as Mark Andrews. So Fryermuth it is. Interesting draft by Mick Zane. Lamb, Bowers, Lamar, Pickens, Walker, Jennings, Mixon, Prescott, Scadabo, Kraft, Stevenson, Leggett, Young. Yeah, I mean, I feel like every draft, especially at this point in the offseason, there are interesting teams. I'll pull it up in just a second. All right. See, like if I pull it up too soon, it'll just switch me whenever the draft pick happens. So he's got Lamar. Yeah, this is a weird team. Dak is stacked with Lamb and Pickens. Bryce Young is with Leggett. Basically, I mean, Walker was a really good pick. He fell a little bit in this draft. Mixon's falling a little bit. I mean, the running back room could work. I mean, it's pretty weak at wide receiver. Jennings is fine. Leggett is stacked. I mean, Pearson and A.O. Manor aren't like bad picks where they got drafted. They both basically against or at their ADP. Bowers and Kraft is fine. It's an interesting team. That being said, J-Dub's finished with Purdy and Caleb Williams. They are stacked. Rome Odunze and Ricky Pearsall. C-Mac, Cook, Tootin, Rashad White, Wright, Giddens, Ladd, Marvin Harrison, Ridley, Odunze, Pearsall, Golden, McMillan, Kincaid, Taylor, Mason Taylor, Jawan Johnson. So on any given week, you're hoping for Purdy or Caleb Williams, C-Mac and Cook, Ladd, MH, Calvin Ridley. Then you definitely have a number of options between the wide receivers and running backs for that extra flex spot. Probably hoping for Kincaid on a majority of weeks. Not bad. Lasmo. See what we ended up with here. JD5 stacked with Derry. You get the exposure to B-Rob as well. T-Law. He's stacked with both Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. Take Bigsby hanging out here as well. Trayvon Henderson, Aaron Jones, B-Rob Dobbins, Bigsby, Rashard Smith. Kind of like a zero RB approach and go running back till pick 60. Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas, once again, a fantastic start there. Terry McLaurin, Hunter, Douglas, Noel, Slayton, Tyler Warren, Goddard, Schultz. So I'm hoping for JD5, Hendo, Aaron Jones or B-Rob. Maybe Aaron Jones and B-Rob earlier in the season. Dobbins, fine. I mean, like your running backs, I think, are perfectly fine for going zero RB. Then Amon-Ra, B-Tom, Terry McLaurin. Then one of those running backs or Travis Hunter, I would say ideally left over with whoever's scoring the most at tight end. So definitely not a bad build. Good correlation throughout the draft. All right, we already went over my team as well, so I won't break it down anymore. Into the draft with Pat Freiermuth. So I feel like everything else went pretty good for this build. I mean, I could have skipped out on Rico Dowdle, and that probably would have led to me having Dalton Schultz as my tight end too. Would be the only note here because go Dowdle, like go Keenan Allen instead of Dowdle, still land Dalton Schultz. And then like I could have gone like I like Justice Hill as a late round dart throw, handcuff running back, or with a third tight end. But nonetheless, not awful. What do you think about this team? Hurts, A-Chain, CD Rice, Evan Ingram, Zay Flowers, and Swift. I mean, pretty dang good. There's nothing to not really like here. Hurts your quarterback, A-Chain's the RB1. Swift's your RB2, which like I'm not completely against. I'm very high on DeAndre Swift this year. Then CD, Rice, Zay Flowers. I mean, obviously with Rashee Rice, like he's going to miss time. We almost certainly know that. So Evan Ingram at tight end is fine. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with Swift as an RB2. And then, I mean, just going to be prepared to, have Rashee Rice not in the lineup. But other than that, it looks very good. And I think long term down the stretch will be fine once Rice is back. People love the 3 QB now due to the data that helps advance more to week 17. Yeah. I know that became a really big thing last year. But you know me, I don't really go for the data. It became a big thing last year because the year before, the team that won had 3 quarterbacks, where like it wasn't a thing before, generally speaking. But I have no problem with it. I still think trying to get one of these late round quarterbacks, even if it's a flyer, look at like Bryce Young last year, Bo Nix last year. Bo Nix be a better example. Even like Sam Darnold. all perfectly fine. I mean, Bryce Young was probably the worst out of them. Especially like last year, I talk a lot about like stacking Bryce Young, Adam Thielen, Bo Nix with like, I think Bo Nix, my main target was Troy Franklin when I would do that stack, which that didn't work out, but the theory was okay. Sam Darnold was like just such a cheap quarterback, even after it was like solidified, he's gonna be the starter. But if you had landed JJ or Addison, then gone Darnold, you were definitely happy. So yeah, I don't have any problem with it. I feel like Anthony Richardson's in that mix right now. Like, I mean, Aaron Rodgers going so late. Like Rodgers gonna have some solid games this year. Darnold is, once again, I think a really good value. Geno Smith's a really good value. But especially if you can get the cheapest potential starter at the end. Left out Chase Brown. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good team. Hurts, A-Chain, Chase Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Zay Flowers, Rashee Rice when healthy, Evan Ingram, Rashee Rice or Zay Flowers, DeAndre Swift in the flex. I mean, yeah, you can't ask for a better build right now. So just stay put. Don't do anything crazy. And, play the waivers, all that good stuff. And, yeah, very solid team. I'd say nothing that I dislike about it. Just be prepared. I mean, Rashee Rice going to miss some time. And, yeah, Chase Brown, a great RB2. And I still like Swift as an RB2, but I love Swift as an RB3. So very, very solid team. All right, boys and girls, there's another draft in the books. We're just going to roll with one draft tonight. So Saturday night, Underdog streams a little bit longer. Tomorrow night, we will be back on for our subscriber mock drafts. If you guys aren't already part of the Discord, that link is in the description down below, and I'll put it in the chat for you guys as well. That'll just get you guys notified soon, leading up to the draft tomorrow night, and that way you guys can get in if you want to, and the draft invite is always sent first and foremost on the Discord. Also, if you guys want to play in our upcoming fantasy leagues for the 2025 fantasy season, those are opening up and filling quickly. Only have a couple spots left, so DM me on Discord. If you guys do want to join, they are all $20 buy-ins. I think we have 4 or 5 spots left in total. So if you guys do want to get in, make sure you guys send me a message on Discord. I'll send you the League Safe link. Once you guys pay up on League Safe, I will then get you the sleeper invite. So we'll be back tomorrow night. I'm not exactly sure what time, usually between 10 and 11 p.m. Eastern time for another subscriber mock draft. And yeah, come out, hang out tomorrow night, talk some fantasy football. And there is another fantasy football draft in the books for you guys. So Lasmo, J-Dubs, thank you guys for drafting tonight. Everybody else, thank you guys for hanging out and talking some fantasy football. And I will talk to you guys soon. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, Izod here on the catch, and peace.